Today, let's take a look at the 10 billionaires who are now completely broke. We all know the world's richest billionaires and how they maintain their fortunes, but not all billionaires are the same. Sometimes, for reasons like criminal activities or lack of skills, some billionaires can't hold their massive wealth and lose it all eventually. So, let's see 10 billionaires who are now absolutely broke. Sam Bankman-Fried. Sam Bankman-Fried founded FTX, which was once the second largest cryptocurrency exchange. At its peak, his net worth exceeded $16 billion, but it plummeted to zero in just a few days. The downfall began in November 2022 when a report revealed that a large portion of the assets of his trading firm, Alameda Research, were tied up in FTT, a token issued by FTX. This revelation sparked a liquidity crisis, leading to FTX's bankruptcy. On December 12, 2022, Bankman-Fried was arrested in the Bahamas and extradited to the United States. He was charged with 7 crimes, including wire fraud, commodities fraud, securities fraud, money laundering, and campaign finance violations. In the case of United States v. Bankman-Fried, he was found guilty on all charges. On March 28, 2024, he was sentenced to 25 years in prison and ordered to forfeit $11 billion. Elizabeth Holmes. Elizabeth Holmes dropped out of Stanford University at 19 to start Theranos, a blood testing company that once had a valuation of $9 billion. The company claimed to have revolutionized blood testing, but everything fell apart when it was revealed that their technology was flawed and inaccurate. In 2015, investigations raised doubts about Theranos' claims. By 2018, the SEC charged Holmes and the company with massive fraud. Holmes settled by paying a $500,000 fine, giving back shares, relinquishing her voting control, and being barred from serving as an officer or director of a public company for 10 years. Once featured on Forbes' list in 2014, Holmes is now involved in legal scandals and unable to afford her lawyers, marking a dramatic fall from grace. Jocelyn Wildenstein. Jocelyn Wildenstein, nicknamed Catwoman due to her extensive plastic surgery, is an American socialite who became wealthy through marriage. Born in Lausanne, Switzerland, in 1940, she met Alec Wildenstein, a wealthy horse breeder and art dealer, through Saudi arms dealer Adnan Khashoggi. The couple married in their 30s, and Alec had a net worth of over $10 billion. When they divorced in 1999, Jocelyn received a $2.5 billion settlement and $100 million annually for the next 13 years. She often purchased high-end designer outfits and accessorized with costly jewelry pieces. She spent millions on plastic surgeries over the years, and spent millions on hosting parties. Despite this wealth, her extravagant lifestyle led her to file for bankruptcy in 2018. Adolf Merkel. Adolf Merkel was born in Dresden, Germany, and became one of the country's wealthiest individuals. He transformed his grandfather's chemical wholesale business into Germany's largest pharmaceutical wholesaler, Phoenix Pharma Handel. In the early 1970s, he also founded Germany's first generic drug manufacturer, Ratio Pharm. Additionally, he held significant stakes in Heidelberg Cement and the vehicle manufacturer Caspora. In 2007, Forbes estimated his worth at $12.8 billion. Despite his wealth, Merkel led a modest life. He rode a 15-year-old bike to work and, in bad weather, drove a 4-year-old VW Golf. He had no bodyguards or servants and lived in a simple chalet-style house in Blaubrunn, his home for 60 years. He even visited his local pub every night to have a drink with the regulars. However, Merkel's fortune declined sharply during the 2008 economic downturn, compounded by a poor investment in Volkswagen. Under immense pressure, he ultimately took his own life. Patricia Kluger. Patricia Kluger's story is like a novel scenario. A young woman marries a billionaire, divorces, and starts a celebrated business, only to lose it all. She married John Kluger, once the richest man in the world, in 1981. After he sold his production company to 20th Century Fox for $4 billion in 1986, they lived a lavish lifestyle. When they divorced in 1990, Patricia received $1 billion and their family home. She decided to turn their Virginia estate into a vineyard, hoping to make the area a hub for fine wines. She took out millions in loans for this project, but it failed, leaving her deeply in debt. Eventually, she sold the winery to Donald Trump, who let her work there for a year before firing her. Alan Stanford. Alan Stanford, a Texas native, ran the second biggest Ponzi scheme in history. Although he stole over $8 billion, he was discovered shortly after Bernie Madoff and didn't make as many headlines. Unlike Madoff's victims, who recovered much of their money, Stanford's 18,000 customers have recovered almost nothing. Stanford evaded detection for a long time by donating millions to politicians in the US and the Caribbean. Judges initially ruled that insurance companies had to pay $65 million to his victims, but this decision was later overturned. In 2009, the SEC raided Stanford's offices, shutting down his business empire. He is now serving a 110-year prison sentence, and his victims, many of whom are elderly retirees, will never get their money back. Jorgolfur Gudmundsson. Jorgolfur Gudmundsson was once Iceland's richest man and the country's second billionaire after his son. He was the majority owner and chairman of Landsbanki, Iceland's second-largest company. In March 2008, Forbes ranked him as the 1,014th richest person in the world with a net worth of $1.1 billion. In the 1990s, Jorgolfur Gudmundsson faced around 450 charges for bookkeeping offenses and was sentenced to 12 months in prison, suspended for 2 years. He rebuilt his fortune in Russia and returned to Iceland. However, by 2009, he was $759 million in debt, marking Iceland's largest bankruptcy filing. Landsbanki was severely impacted by the credit crunch, causing him to lose everything. Although both he and his son were implicated in the Panama Papers, his son remains a billionaire. Sean Quinn. In 2008, Sean Quinn was Ireland's richest person, worth around $5 billion. Just 3 years later, he declared bankruptcy. Quinn left school at 14, borrowing £100 to start selling gravel. Over time, he built a vast conglomerate with interests in construction, banking, and healthcare. During the 1990s, Quinn gained legendary status in Ireland after reportedly punching a British soldier at a checkpoint. This goodwill helped him when he suffered heavy losses due to bad banking investments. After a brief jail term for his actions, Quinn hasn't rebuilt another business empire but continues to seek lucrative investments. Alberto Villa. Alberto Villa, a billionaire who made his fortune in tech stocks, led a life of crime. In 2008, he was convicted of money laundering. Villa lived in a luxurious apartment with marble floors and a large bronze statue of Mozart, but his downfall was swift. Known for his support of the arts, especially opera, Villa was shunned by the arts community after defrauding thousands of people. Major venues like the Met and the Royal Opera House removed his name and picture from their spaces. Villa received a 9-year prison sentence for his involvement in a $22 million fraud scheme. Upon his release, he bought tickets to an opera at the Met, signaling his continued passion for the art form. However, it's unlikely he will regain his billions anytime soon, given his controversial past. Eike Batista. Eike Batista, once Brazil's richest person, faced a colossal downfall that mirrored Brazil's economic changes. His empire, focused on energy, minerals, and logistics, crumbled alongside a fading commodities boom. In early 2012, Batista's net worth soared to $35 billion, making him the world's 7th wealthiest individual. However, by July 2013, his fortune had plummeted to $200 million due to mounting debts and falling stock prices. Just a few months later, in January 2014, Bloomberg reported his net worth had turned negative. Batista's troubles worsened when he was found guilty of paying bribes to secure government contracts as part of the Chukar Wash corruption probe. He received a 30-year sentence, serving under house arrest.